And we're live! Welcome, everybody, to the 15th episode of Paulette Becs Wine Lives. We would like to give you all a cheers. I got to figure out where you see my glass here.
I don't know if you guys can read my beautiful glass. Woo! Cheers.
Cheers, cheers, everybody. We got ourselves some fancy wine glasses made, so whoever wasn't on last week, you can see we have, well, you can't really see mine now. You can. I decided to switch it up today, guys. I'm drinking rosé tonight.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, pretty fancy. I know.
I always just stick to the red.
I thought I'd switch it up. I'm feeling saucy tonight.
Ooh. We've got saucy things to talk about tonight, so I'm super excited.
Well, I'm so incredibly excited tonight because we have an amazing guest that is joining us. My beautiful friend Blaise Hunter is here to talk to us about the book she wrote called Heroine. Bex has it right there. It's an incredible book, an inspiring book about women inspiring women. And Bex and I were in tears reading it. And I have a lot of girlfriends who read it as well, who have it's touched them in a really awesome way. So I really want to bring her up. So we're going to bring her up right now.
Yeah.
And we need more music now. Ta-da!
We just did the music.
Welcome! Hi, buddy.
We're all matching. We're all matching.
I know.
I know we're all. And it wasn't even planned, guys. It's awesome.
I know, totally by accident.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think it's so good. So welcome, Blaise. We are so excited to have you on here tonight.
I'm excited here.
And like Paulette said, reading this book, we got on the phone today and it was just I have cried so many times, but not out of sadness. It's just out of wow, I'm not alone. I've gone through so many things similar, and it is just oh my, I even told Paulette when I was reading your book, I felt like my story was just written in front of me in a way, the thoughts that I've had, the feelings I've had, obviously a different story, but it was just incredible having it put into words. It was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Cheryl, maybe let's start off with you telling us how you were inspired to read or to write the book.
Sorry, how do I what?
How were you inspired to write the book?
So the main thing was that I struggled my whole life to love myself and never really put much thought into having a low self-esteem until Lexi, my daughter, was born. And around when she was 3 years old, I just kind of was looking at her and I thought, how am I going to get her to not look in the mirror and think she's fat and ugly and go to school and have all these complexes and anorexia and pinch and inch? And I'm like, how am I going to get her just to love who she is? Because she's absolutely perfect. And that kind of just flipped a switch in me that mom has to practice what she preaches. Her biggest role model isn't practicing that because I'm looking in the mirror thinking I'm fat and ugly. So that kind of sparked this inspiration to write this book, to have a legacy for my daughter that she will know who she is and her worth.
Ugh, I love that.
Amazing.
I'm already going to start crying, you guys.
When I read that in your book, I teared up because it's just, I think it's so powerful that as all of us as parents, I know that Kit and I, we just had also when our son came, children just have this effect that it's we don't want them to feel how we feel, but how are we going to be able to learn that, right? Mm-hmm. To not feel the way that we feel.
Yeah, it's so important. we keep telling our, like, if we have daughters or we have sons, we keep telling them to own who you are and not care what people think and just go out there and own the world. But yet their models, what they're modeling after, we're sitting at home having all of these inner toxic thoughts, thinking that we're not good enough, or that we're a bad mom, or we have to wear Spanx, or we have to wear a tankini because we can't show our fat, and kind of being a hypocrite to show them how to be who they are and own who they are. It doesn't matter if they're up 5, 10 pounds or 20 or 50 pounds or whatever. We all look different, and we should just embrace that. But we have to blaze the trail for them and show them how to do that, rather than do something different and expect them to kind of move past all these challenges without actually being a model for them.
Oh, 100%. I remember, I think it was last summer, my daughter and one of her little girlfriends were sitting in the living room and they were just kind of like talking amongst themselves. And they were talking about, like, oh no, I look fat in that. And like, for all of you who know my daughter, Montana, she is tiny. And I
Mm-hmm.
turned around and I was like, dude, like, don't. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was so shocked that, like, she's 11. She was like 10 at the time. And I thought, oh my God. But then
I don't
I
know if you
stopped and
guys can
thought
hear
about,
me, but I can't hear anyone. I think I've been
oh, yeah,
lost.
we can hear you.
Hear you.
Oh, she's
Oh,
going
we
to come
lost.
back on.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I was so shocked. And then I thought to myself, what are the things that I'm saying? What is she hearing me say, right?
Mm.
And that was a big, like, aha moment for me, because how many times have I said, and just talking to my friends even, right?
Yeah.
Like, just us talking to each other saying, like, oh no, I feel like so bad in this, or I'm not smart enough to do that, or you know what I mean? It
So
really made me
little,
think, like,
yeah, so little sounds we don't even know, right? Like we don't even realize.
yeah. Okay, I just want
Sorry, I
to
disappeared for a second, guys. Something was frozen for me. So
No worries.
no, you're good. We can hear you now, sister.
Yep.
oh good. I thought I was lost forever.
Now you're found.
No, we have a comment from Mary, and she said, "Oh my God, yes, my mom was horrible, and I was a kid for real diet after diet, and I was taking diet pills and things when I was 9. Since I had girls, I swore I would never do that, and don't do it because I never want them to feel what I did." Totally. I just, like, I can't. It's such a mind f to really. It puts you in your own place. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? What are,
Hmm.
and we're not doing it on purpose, but what are we telling our kids, right? We always talk about how we want them to be strong and brave, and we want them to believe that they can do anything. But when we don't believe in it ourselves, how the hell do they have any chance, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I
So that,
constantly say, like, we always quote, "Be the change you wish to see," and that part of that is like you have to be the change. You don't want these kids to grow up dieting and having all of these struggles with body image. Well, then we have to be the change, and that means actually changing our thought process. And some people say, well, I never say that in front of my kids, but they pick up on what you're thinking. It's not just
Hmm.
what you're actually saying, but if you're thinking in the mirror, I'm fat, or I can't wear that today because I'm ugly, they're picking up on that vibe and they're thinking that's how I should think, right? So you got to change and be that change for them.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
It's such a hard thing. Like I know, like when we're younger, we see people, even if you're just in like the bathroom at the pool and people are getting dressed, they're like hiding themselves, or they're trying to adjust their clothes, and you can tell they like stand sideways and try and suck it in, or they do something, right? And it's just you instantly know that that person is struggling. And then it's
Totally.
like, how do I look? When we're younger, it's like, oh, should I be worried about what I look
I know,
right?
and it's even changing our perception, because I write about it in the book. Like, there was a time where I would had like a 6-pack and like Zumba 3 times a week, and I didn't think that I was fat, but I didn't think I was skinny or beautiful. And then I look at this picture of me like 5 years down the road, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a rocking body. Like, why didn't I realize that? I was so skinny. I was
Yeah,
toned. And I'm like, why don't we see it when we're there? So that's kind of the definition of beauty. It really is your perception. If you get to that point where you have that 6-pack or that hot body where you can wear that little bikini and dress, and you're still not thinking you're beautiful, then it really doesn't matter what size you are. It's what you think of you is more important, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. I did a live this summer. So for like the past year, I've been really working on this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a go live from my pool this summer, and I made a goal for myself uh, shortly after Christmas last year that I wanted to buy a bikini.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm totally going to do it. Because like old me would have been like, mm-mm. Like I don't I don't get in front of anybody without a cover up on like ever. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna buy myself a bikini. We have a pool in our backyard, and I told myself I'm gonna rock this thing. So I did. I did a go live from my pool in my bikini, and it's so funny because I was just like, I've come to this place where I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not true. I care a little bit, but I don't care as much as I used to.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's huge.
I don't think you ever get
And
rid of
that
fully caring, but you're overriding those thoughts and saying, screw off, I'm going to just own who I am today.
Absolutely. And
yeah.
you're live, Paulette. I remember this live
I think
because
that's
I
awesome.
jumped
That's what
on. It
this
was like
whole
beautiful.
heroine movement is about, is to get women to just love who they are. It's not about being a perfect person. It's just about enjoying who you are as you are.
Yeah. 100%. And it comes across in
Did I lose
all
you guys?
aspects of life, right? So for me it was like I also used to be the type of person that would like
Oh, I lost
not
my connection.
Oh.
oh no, you're still
Uh-oh.
here. Oh no.
I feel like we're having a few technical difficulties tonight. I know I jumped off because I lost everyone too. So cheers to the technical difficulties because we are in 3 different houses doing this.
Life is never perfect.
No, but you know what? It's okay. And she'll be back. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Like we have an amazing turnout tonight. And I know
Yeah.
when Miss Blaise gets back with us, I think we're gonna drop a little. Did you already drop the info about the giveaway? Did I miss that?
Did not.
All right, so make sure you guys stick with us once she gets back here. We've got some really cool stuff we're going to talk about with her as well and drop a little bit of info on a giveaway.
Oh, giveaways, love giveaways. Okay, so comment from Mickey. Just hang on. I'm gonna let you read this, Bex, while I bring our guest back up.
All right. Oh man, yes, it wasn't until I became a mom that I just said fuck it and changed in the open change room at the pool. You know what, Mickey, that is amazing. And I actually did the very same thing because I will just change now there because really, what is the big deal? We are all women, we are all beautiful, we come in different shapes and sizes, and it doesn't matter, right? I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was younger and I'd go to the pool and I would see like moms changing or even like grandmas changing and they would be completely naked and it's like, oh my gosh, how do they do that? And it wasn't out of like checking out their bodies, it was like, wow, I wish I had the power and confidence to do that,
For
right? Because
Don't
that's
sure.
a
you wish
powerful thing.
you know what? This actually I do want to bring this up. So Cheryl, in your book, towards the end of your book, you have this one of the chapters where you ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a bunch of ladies to be involved in your book. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that and how you got tell us about this?
It
It
was
was really good.
so powerful. So we did a call out for the photo shoot for the women in the book. And I went to Caitlin Blake, and that was the photographer, and I said, this is my like vision. Do you think that I could actually get women to do this in the area? She's like, maybe 5 people, maybe 5. Like, we're talking about stripping down to your underwear here. That's going to be a
Yeah.
lot. And I'm like, okay, like, I obviously wanted more, but 5 will be a good start. Let's just put the call out. But we both agreed we couldn't expect people to do this if we weren't willing to do it ourselves. So we both went to the studio that night and did it. And I was regretting it when I walked in there. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh my God, she's such a photographer though.
Oh, so she put the camera up and you're in your underwear and you're writing a book about it. And yet there you are faced with those thoughts again. And you're just like, oh, things just got real. I'm actually doing this like for real in front of somebody and you're going to capture a picture of it, right? So we put it up that night and just said a call out for women willing to do this and kind of own their worth in their bodies. And it blew up. Like we had it booked up for the weekend in September. This was a year ago, and a waiting list. Within 12 hours, we were booked up. And it was just like mind boggling that we had so many women interested. So then I knew I was on to something. And then,
Yeah.
so we got them to come into the studio then on that weekend in September. And it was just so powerful and moving and healing that women just wept. They wept in front of strangers. Me and Caitlin are strangers to them, and they wept knowing that they needed to heal and love themselves more. Or some of them got it clicked in their head that, like, oh, yeah, I actually do have a big self esteem problem because I'm trembling standing in front of you right now.
Yeah.
And so then with that, I coupled the questionnaire because I have this captive 30 women audience. And I thought, right now, I want to ask you questions. And it's up to you of how honest you want to be with them. Like, whatever you want to do, you can answer as truthfully or as not. But this is going to be in my book. And again, just like overwhelmed with the honesty. Like, women were taking this seriously. It wasn't just a fluffy answer. They really dug deep in their heart and allowed me to see it. And that was beautiful. Like I couldn't even like ask for anything more that someone, these strange women would trust me with that deep secret they've held for a long time of all these different things. And I just was like floored that like I was able to pull that from them because we bonded together and it wasn't they weren't standing alone and I wasn't pulling on them to share. It was just like, hey, I'm doing this, you can do this, we can do this. And it was just so special that these women just shared their hearts and souls with me and allowed me to put this in a book to show other women that we're all thinking and feeling the same thing.
And that's just it, right? Is that we're not alone. So
No.
many people are feeling the exact same thing. And we feel like we all, especially as moms, I think we always feel like we have to put on this strong front and that whatever. But I was just like, I was reading this book and I was bawling my eyes out. And I'm crying now because it was so like, it was just, damn.
I know, and I don't want to make people cry, but I want to make people cry.
Look at it's so funny. Like I'm gonna show you. So many people are commenting right now, and they're all saying, "I'm crying. Oh my God, I'm crying."
I know, like I wept, Caitlin wept. We didn't know what to expect when those women walked in the room. And there was a lady that came from Beaumont. We don't even know how she saw the post. Like she doesn't know anyone in the area. She
Yeah,
legit drove from Beaumont for a 15-minute photo shoot and drove back home. That's how
yeah,
determined she was to own her body. And it was just spectacular and magical. And Caitlin and I both were like, each girl that walked out of the room, we were just bawling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a moving weekend, right? Like
yeah,
forever I will be bonded with those women because of what we shared and experienced. And it's not just about showing your body in your underwear. It's not about that. It's about taking off a layer of a mask that so many women hide behind. And it was just very real to show like your heart through that picture. So it's not just about being in your underwear, it's being unmasked to your soul.
yeah. I was blown away by it, and I was telling Bex earlier today that I wish that I was in the place that I am right now last
Hmm.
year, because I would have jumped on that like so quick.
I
But I
know.
wasn't.
We'll have to do a part two because lots of
Yeah,
people are saying, like I wish I would have done it. And you know what? Sometimes we're just in a place where we grow and now we're ready to. And I think we need to do it again just to get that next band of women to do this and just own their bodies. And it was so special and healing for these women and being honest with their answers. And like I'm reading that, I'm like, hey, I think that too. And I thought I was the only one, like, and they're writing it and they're saying the exact same thing I struggle with.
yeah,
And so I'm like, thank you for not just hiding that, for letting me know that I'm not alone in my own thoughts and fears and failures, that as a woman and as a mom, right? Like we all struggle with those thoughts.
totally. Okay, I
Mhm.
think we need this calls for a cheers.
Okay.
So this is a cheers to change and to
Yes.
not being alone.
Cheers.
Thank
Cheers, Blaise.
you. Cheers. Yes, thank you. That's just so special. Like, and it's so amazing, like how I felt alone my whole life. And really, it's just because I didn't find my right people yet. And now I found my people. And now you're not alone, right? Like, and your people are perfect. We're all flawed.
I'm gonna cry again.
It's just it's so amazing to me because I've had this conversation with Paulette so many times that is exactly how I've felt my whole life, of like sort of just been like the outcast. Why didn't I really
Mm-hmm.
fit in? Why wasn't I have those like great connections and those inside jokes that everyone would have, and then they would call everyone and it's like, oh, we kind of forgot about you, or whatever it was. It always just felt like that. But then
Yeah.
like read it, like now it's like, wow, like so many changes in 1 year. You can totally do it, and all of a sudden you just, it's like everything that you always imagined or you had wanted, just by changing your shift in your thinking,
Mm-hmm.
it just comes to you. And it's like, now I don't even think about wanting that, but this is just like the crazy realization that I'm okay with myself, and all of a sudden you have it.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
just to have like, just to like own who you are. And then all of a sudden, not care so much about the rejection of people and what their approval means for you. And then all of a
Exactly.
sudden you do get more people and you're like, hey, like I just gave up on that and all of a sudden it came at me, right? But it's like true friendships and people that get your quirkiness and get that you're flawed and still love you anyways. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just weeding out the people that aren't there for you for your purpose, and those people
Exactly.
are meant for you. Those people aren't your best friends, but like finding people that support you through thick and thin and still love you when you are at your worst, that's just so amazing. But you have to let go of that approval. And like I say in the book, like I used to want approval from everybody and I still struggle with that. That's like
Mm-hmm.
rejection's a huge thing for me. And but why are we going around like a parking pass and being like, please stamp me, please approve me? Like, why do I need your approval? I'm approved. I stamp myself, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm approved. I don't need you to approve of me.
In the
Exactly.
same in the same way, I feel like, oh, did we lose Cheryl? Or
I
did we
don't,
lose Blaise? I feel
I'm not
she's
sure.
frozen, guys.
This is, we're
Uh-oh.
having some glitches tonight, but that's okay.
Oh, just wait
Should I
1 second,
leave?
guys. I feel like we're gonna get her back in 2 seconds. This
Oh, if
is
I'm on here. Oh no.
we should call this Tech Tuesdays.
It's really embrace your flaws. No,
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I don't know about you, Blaise, but it's like I feel like at some point when you come into your own power,
Mhm.
you you become like a magnet.
Mhm.
And you know how Bex and I, we always say your vibe attracts your tribe,
Yeah.
and uh, I feel like now I'm attracting all of these incredible women who are so positive and so giving of themselves, and I'm just like I'm on this like cloud nine at this point, and it's
I know.
changing things in me that were so different a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if anybody has been following me in my page. You've seen that I did a cheer thing a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
a parents cheer team. So old me would have never ever even thought of doing that because I would have been way too in my head to get out of
Mm-hmm.
my comfort zone because I'd be way too worried about what people would think, what I would look like, and I would just not put myself in that situation.
For sure.
But now I went and I had the best freaking time of my life.
Aw.
And it was so empowering and it was so fun and we laughed and laughed and like that was the best part about it is that like that we were a bunch of crazy moms and there was a couple dads there too and
Yeah.
everybody was there honestly just to have fun and it was like priceless. You know what I
And
mean?
that's
Like
so
it just
special. Yeah.
period. So when you change that thought in your head, then like the world becomes your oyster, right? You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people that would take myself out of situations. So like I would avoid functions sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because I was so in my head about well who's going to be there or are they going to judge me for this or and really there was nothing. It was
Yeah.
me creating that story in my head.
Totally. Totally.
You know what I mean?
What about you, Bex? Did you struggle with body image and stuff
I
like
did
that?
actually, like huge. It's funny that when we talk about that, like um, growing up, I used to play tons of sports, and I was absolutely mortified at the fact that I had to wear spandex shorts playing volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
Mortified because I was like, I have cellulite in my legs, and people would be like, no, you don't, no, you don't, and I would look in the mirror, and that's all I would see. And I was telling Paulette this recently, is I was going through photos, looking through like when I was younger, there was nothing, and yet I beat myself up, and I
Mm-hmm.
still see that to this day. And in the last year, with all of the changes, it doesn't bug me anymore, not like it used to.
Right.
And I used to never wear shorts. I would live in capris.
Yep.
And this year was the first year I have shorts. I like was wearing my jean shorts, and I used to buy shorts and I just sell them. I just take them to Sally Ann. I buy them and take them to Sally Ann and buy them and take them to Sally Ann. And now because I'd try them on, I'd feel amazing in the store. I don't know what they do with their lighting. And then you get home and it's like,
Skinny.
what
It's
was I
skinny
thinking?
mirrors. It's skinny mirrors.
Totally, totally.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's
Go
amazing.
ahead.
Like actually the very beginning of your book, when you talk about auditing your clothing,
Mm-hmm.
that was like huge. I like sat down and I was like, what is in my closet that really is defining me? Am I dressing for comfort? What am I dressing for? How is it making me feel? And I really only have like maybe two or three items of clothing that make me feel fabulous, that I love.
Right.
Right. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's powerful, because I dress
Yeah.
to hide, to be comfortable, to not stand out. When, why am I not dressing in what I love? So it was a
Exactly.
huge eye opener for me at the beginning of
Oh, that's
that, and just
awesome.
with the body image and everything, because
Mm-hmm.
regardless of our size, like everyone has struggles or has had a struggle
Yep.
or going through it, right? And I find like a lot of the time I'm always like, does this look good? And then I'm like, why am I asking if it looks good? How do I feel?
Yeah.
How does it make
Yeah.
me feel?
And
Yeah.
that's not to say like I always get asked this is like, well, do you buy things then to always stand out, or can't you just be comfortable? And I'm like, for sure, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's your why. It's your why you're wearing that flowy top today. Is it because you really feel fat and you can't step out the door without hiding your tummy, or you like the flowy top? Like just
Yeah.
ask yourself the why, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I thought that was very, very powerful.
Yeah, thank you. That's something I definitely struggled with, and then it just also transfers to all of that self-image, whether it's body image or not. But it's like I was a perfectionist. I still am a perfectionist, and I'm breaking that habit of like it's okay to not be perfect and portray perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like I know it's not perfect down there, but yet I'm portraying that it is. And you're like, why?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
like, and then just
absolutely.
allowing myself to have some fun in life, because you get so in your head about like your kid doing well and you doing well and everything looks this way and you've got so many problems, and yet everyone thinks it's just like this perfect picture, right? And it's just,
Yeah.
you got to let go of the throttle a little bit, that like we're imperfect. Just let's embrace that, and embrace the day that I have bloated tummy, and a day that I don't make everything, and I'm late for every appointment, and I forget my kids' soccer practice, and that's okay. Like, it's imperfect, right?
Totally. Janine says, I love my body more now at 240 pounds than I did when I was 16 years old and 140 pounds. And
Aw,
that's so telling, right? Like, it's so true when you learn
yeah,
to really like love yourself. And it sounds so cheesy sometimes when you say it out loud. And I know, like, back in the day when people would say that to me, I would just be like, oh, whatever. But now I get
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And I'm like, yeah, it all starts with me.
yeah,
Because the minute I believe it, the minute I get out of here, right?
Hmm.
And the minute
exactly.
I get out of here, I'm happy.
Well,
Yeah.
even take, for instance, I'm on a cleanse right now, so no wine for me, it's green tea.
Here's to green tea.
Good, cheers.
Cheers.
But like, I was doing this cleanse, and I'm doing a little bit of a eating diet for the first week, and then it kind of tapers back to my regular diet. And I was following this plan, and I've done it before, but it was like hardcore and like almost starvation for 9 days. And I lost 10 pounds in 9 days. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do this time? Is it, I'm up 10 pounds from all my medications, but do I want to like torture myself over 10 pounds? Or maybe I need to take a cue from what I'm trying to preach here, is that maybe just take it easy. And it doesn't matter if I lose just 2 pounds in a week. It's about being healthy and about balance. So I'm not going to go crazy, perfectionist, hardcore just to lose 10 pounds. Like, why? It's just 10 pounds. It's just about getting healthy, and you need to have that balance and know that, hey, my clothes are tight today, but I'm working on being overall healthy, mind, body, and soul, and not going crazy over the scale and dieting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
One of the things that you did in your book, it was you created kind of a way to find yourself through the maze of life, is what you said.
Yes.
Can you
Mm-hmm.
take us through that and share with the people your insight on that?
Yeah, so the I thought, like, for me, I was getting lost on my journey and on owning who I was and being a heroine. So I kind of came up with this map and an acronym of MAPP. If you get lost on your way being a heroine, go back to the map and you will find back to your core, and you find who you are and embrace that. So the M in map is identifying what your masks are, because that's a tricky one. Most people don't even realize what their masks are. And we have women and men say, "Oh, I don't have any. I'm an open book." And we're like, I call bullshit.
Yes.
Right? You like, because we all have them. They're different for everyone, but we all have them. And we have to ask ourselves and give ourselves honest answers of, what am I using as a mask to either protect myself, make me feel beautiful or enough or approved, right? And so it's just about asking ourselves that, identifying it, and then removing it, and being able to walk out the door without those masks, or being in front of people and being vulnerable. It's all about being vulnerable. We haven't really taught our society anymore to be real and vulnerable, and what I struggle with. And this is me today, and it's messy and it's beautiful. And so it's about first identifying that and then stripping away the masks. So that's the first step on the map. And then
Okay,
once you,
can we just
oh
make
yeah, go ahead.
cheers? Can we cheers to the
Cheers.
M
Yeah, cheers to the
Cheers.
end,
to
man.
masks? Cheers.
I think it's so important, just like with removing masks. And I know when you say masks, it means it's a concept of everything, but
Mm-hmm.
as well as like focusing on like makeup and all of those
Yes.
things, right? Like that one was huge because when I don't wear makeup, I go out and it's like, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. but I don't feel great a lot of the time. You
Mm-hmm.
don't feel amazing.
You don't
Like,
feel pretty, like as pretty, right?
oh, did I lose you guys?
Oh, you're still there, bud.
We hear ya. Well,
It's
we'll get
okay.
her
How
back.
about we'll keep going with the next one, the A.
The A. So once you've removed the mask, and like what Bex was saying, like it could be makeup, it could be anything. In men, it could be hair loss and covering up your hair, right? There, men and women have masks, right? And I even mentioned about house cleaning. That can be a mask because so many women like their house immaculate, and yeah, it's a distraction because if everyone thinks everything is all put together and neat and tidy in my house, it's distracting from the mess in this house. So it's all these different layers and aspects of mass. So yes, it's definitely about a whole bunch of things. But definitely moving on to the A is then now that you've stripped away those masks and you're like naked, so to speak, you've got to embrace and accept that new person now because you've been hiding under these masks as a facade person. And now you have to accept the real person that you are, taking off the makeup, letting people come into your messy house, allowing people to see the mess going on in your soul and being okay with that and giving yourself a hug and saying, you're not too bad. Like, it's not bad. You're okay. I accept you. So that's all about the acceptance step of it, because you really need to accept who you really are, not the front that you've been putting on. So that's definitely the next step into and getting back to being heroine, right?
Yeah, totally.
And
And
then
that
go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead, keep going with the P.
The P. So the next one is like, okay, so we've added the acceptance in there, but that's not good enough because it's not okay just to accept who you are. You need to love who you are and have passion for yourself and for your life. So once you're able to take that next step and start to really fall back in love with yourself and add passion, then you're able to just live from such an amazing place where you're living from that love. And I often say when people are critical of others, it's because you're critical of yourself. So you got to
Oh yeah.
add the passion back into yourself so you're able to like add love to people and to the world. So you've got to be able to plug in and find things that make you spark up and light a fire in your soul and breathe that fire. And it's all about definitely living with that passion and love for yourself and others.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, we have another P.
Yeah. Okay, and the
What's
last
the next
one
P?
is my key thing is that you always have to change your perception, not the image. Because there are circumstances in life that are hard and you can't immediately change them. I can't change that I can't have a baby right now. I can't change that. I can't change that I'm up 10 pounds from the medications. I can't change certain things, but I can change how I look at them. And I can change my perception of these situations and who I am. Because I say, like many women that just say, oh, I just want to lose that 5 pounds or those 10 last pounds. But once you get to that goal, you don't automatically love yourself. You find another flaw to focus on. So you've got to be able to change your perception and love who you are right this minute and still work on being a better version of yourself, but change that perception where you know who you are and love who you are no matter what's going on in your life. So it's about changing that perspective always.
Totally. It's like that. It's like how you were talking about that picture that you had seen of yourself like
Mm-hmm.
from 5 years ago, right?
Yes.
Like looking back then, you didn't think it was you were in a bad spot in your brain,
Yep.
but you looked hot.
Yeah.
And now, looking at it now, you're like, oh damn, if I would have only appreciated it back
I know.
then,
I'm
right?
like, I would have worn all these other outfits.
Right?
I'm like, what was I
Totally.
thinking?
Yeah. Oh, I totally get that.
I
I
would have
think
pulled
what's
out
so
those
important too
basketball
with this,
shorts.
can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Oh, we're gonna lose her again.
Oh no,
I don't know what is happening
it's
with the
technical
world of the
Tuesday.
interweb. Yeah.
I know.
Can you guys hear me?
Chen.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, we
goodness.
can hear you.
I am so sorry, everybody. I did not know what is happening on my end. Like, I
It's
start
all good.
talking and my internet just goes, bye. I don't know what's going on right now. I was just
good.
gonna say, I think it's so important, like that map. I just started tearing up because if only I had like someone say that to me 10 years ago. Because it's not an easy thing to stop being that cynical, critical
No.
person, right? It's not easy to find that passion and be like, how could I ever love myself? Right?
Totally.
It's really not an easy step to take, but it's just a matter of like being like, I can't handle this anymore. Just recognize something, right? And then just being like, okay, I need to do one thing. Take one step. Read this book.
Yes.
Because honestly, if I had learned this stuff and taken those steps 10 years ago and the journey that I've been doing in the last year, like it's amazing how just loving yourself changes everything.
It does. I'm just so
It really,
like nothing has changed in my life since writing the book. Like I'm not pregnant. My health hasn't improved, but yet I'm a happy person. And I had to change my perception because we're all going to have problems. We're all going to have struggles and difficulties and hurdles. But how do you still lead a happy life? Well, you still have to shift that perspective. Like my my whole phrase this month that I'm focusing on is focus on the wins, not the losses. There's so many wins in a day, but yet we get bogged down by the losses and focus on that when we have tunnel vision on that. And we just say like, there's some wins here, and I'm just going to be, you know what? We're going to deal with that tomorrow, and we're going to deal with it the next day until we work through them. But I'm still going to have wins in my life that I need to be happy about.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And also the thing is to surround yourself by people who are going to lift you up and fan your flames, right? One of the so something happened to me last week, and I had a moment where I could have gone like downhill and been really down on myself and complaining, and old me would have sat in that spot for a long time. And I would have reached out to people, but I would have reached out to like bitch about it and be upset about it and live in that negativity. But now I've changed my perception, and the first thing that I did was call my girlfriend, two of my girlfriends. I called my friend Janine and my friend Kim, because those two people are my like, I knew that if I spoke to them, they would automatically give me the positives.
Yeah.
And that saved me. Honestly, it saved me an entire weekend of happiness.
Exactly.
So on those people that you know are going to, one, call you on your bullshit, and also keep you grounded, right?
Yeah, and
So
and
anyways,
allow you to feel emotion. It's okay to feel it, but you have to get through it, right? Rather than
yeah,
sit in it for days and days and days and days. It's like, okay, I'm feeling an emotion. That's okay. But how do I work through this now? And sometimes you can do it on your own, and sometimes you need your tribe to help you through that, right?
Exactly.
yeah,
You know
totally.
what
Just don't
a
live.
wise woman told me once, honor your emotion, give it a time frame.
Yeah.
She's like, give it 10 minutes. Honor that emotion, feel it so deeply, allow it to come through. Don't hide it, don't push it down, nothing. But after 10 minutes, you're done with it. You need to figure out how you're going to deal with it, and you need to move forward. And that was so powerful. So powerful.
Totally.
I love that.
We're all flawed and we all have struggles that we're going through, but yeah, it's just honoring those things and empowering yourself and picking up that sword and being like, we got this. Like, I'm going to take on another day. This isn't going to kick me today. Like, I'm going to move past this, and I will not burn, and I'm going to rise from the ashes every single day.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cheers.
For any of you. Oh, yes, let's cheers to that, please.
Yay!
Thank you. Cheers to rising above the ashes. I love it.
Cheers.
Leanne's asking, where can we purchase your book?
So it is on Amazon. .ca and .com, as well as Barnes and Noble and Kubu. And then it's also locally in Bonnyville and Cold Lake at Pharmasave Herbology, Buds and Blooms in Bonnyville, and then Nourish the Soul in Cold Lake.
It's amazing.
Awesome.
And I'm going to be doing an Audible, hopefully in the near future, because I know busy moms have a hard time able to read. So I'm going to try and get an Audible version out shortly here. So yeah.
Oh, I love that because
That's
I am
amazing.
such an Audible.
Yes, and just so many amazing new things happening. I'm so excited. Like a tidbit of a teaser, I am working on a support group for infertility and pregnancy loss in the Lakeland area.
Oh my God.
I got
So
goosebumps.
yeah, it's coming together. It's very early, like very early stages, but I'm making this happen one way or another because I feel like we all need that in this area. So whether you've gone through it
So
20 years ago or 2 days ago, we're going to have a group forming.
That's perfect. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know Blaise's story, she, like many of us, have gone through miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
And she really is very vulnerable in her book and shares her story of loss. And I'm gonna cry again. um, I've gone through it as well, and it really, really touched my soul. So hearing you say that you're starting something as a support group is like amazing. So
Thank
there's a
you.
lot of people out there.
And I think
So I don't
that,
know if you want to kind of touch on your story a little bit and like
yeah, sure. So I got pregnant in 2012 and had my daughter in 2013, and we had no troubles getting pregnant. It was just a few months of trying, no complications during pregnancy. And so I thought when we're ready to try again, this would be a piece of cake. And to my surprise, it has not been a piece of cake. It has been one of the biggest challenges of my life that I can get pregnant, but I seem to miscarry in the first trimester, and not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that's been a real hard hurdle for me, especially as a type A doer, that I just can't do this. And I have to let go of that. And I still struggle with that and that concept of that I can't just put my nose to the ground and do this, because I do that with everything else in my life. And this is something that's completely out of our control. And it's just navigating all of that, all the emotion, all of the grief, all of the struggle. And yet, in modern day times, you really don't have a lot of support, outward support to help you navigate that. That's what I found with all of these miscarriages, is that there really isn't a lot of people talking about it. We're still very it's so personal that I think women feel either it's too much to talk about or embarrassed to talk about, because then we're admitting a failure. And I feel like that. I feel like a failure as a woman. That like that's the one job you're supposed to do. And I haven't been able to do that as I wanted. And that's been a big struggle, that I'm not a failure. And that no one is, if you're going through this, if you can't get pregnant or if you've struggled to keep babies, you're not a failure and you're not alone. There's so many women in even your local area that are dealing through all these issues, and they may have not just been able to express it.
totally.
Yeah, I think it's so important because it's not a topic that's talked about very often.
No.
And it's not a topic, it almost seems like it's taboo to talk about it. And yet, I know Kent and I also had a miscarriage, and it's so like your emotions, you just feel so defeated and alone. Yeah. You don't know what to do. I remember calling Kent, he'd come home from work because I didn't know what to do or how to handle it. Right.
Yeah.
And so having support and having groups, like I think that's just like absolutely incredible that you're starting that. And it's going to be something that's going to be women are going to be able to access, because when you feel so alone in that situation, like you don't know where to go, who to reach out to, how do you go to work, how do you, and then everyone just pretends that it didn't happen.
Well, you're so right. And then another part of that piece is that your partner grieves just as much as you, and there's really nothing for the men, nothing for them to admit that they're going through a horrible situation, and they have to be strong for their wife and go to work, and they're feeling the exact same thing, just in a different way, but they're feeling it.
Yeah.
And Rob didn't know what to do with that. He didn't know who to talk to. And men aren't as open as us as females to be that vulnerable with your girlfriends. Like, guys don't call a guy up and be like, "Hey, I'm dealing with this miscarriage. Help me." Like, guys don't often do it that way, right? What was really a magical moment was my husband's the play-by-play guy for the Pontiacs here in Bonnyville. And he didn't say anything to anyone. He was just holding it so much. But the coach knew that what had happened to us. And he actually ended up telling the players. So these are like 16-year-olds to 20-year-olds. And he told the players, and they all got off the bus, and 20 some of these kids hugged Rob. They hugged him. They had a moment of empathy for a man going through grief of a miscarriage. These 16 to 20-year-old guys. And that was like so impactful for him. He just needed that. He couldn't go to somebody, but they came to him, and they broke that barrier for him to grieve. And that was an amazing moment in this process, and knowing that men need the support group too, not just women.
Oh man.
And I feel also like, um, because guys are always, they always put themselves up on this, I don't know if you want to say pedestal, but like they're supposed to be the strong ones,
Mm-hmm.
and they're supposed to be the ones that support us. And I know Jerry and I struggled in that because we both were grieving differently.
Yes, we grieve
And
so differently.
Yeah.
so for him, he's not an emotional person like I am, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
um, and he so he didn't talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And for him it was shoving it under the rug. But for me, like, it broke me. And
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't handle it. Like, somebody would tell me that they were pregnant, and although I was so excited, it
Yes.
would bring me right back to that place,
Yeah.
right? And then I'd feel guilty
Yeah.
because, like, how horrible am I that I can't, like, take joy in someone else's joy?
Yeah.
But and then he would try to support me, but at the same time shoving it under the rug, and I was just like, did you forget? Like,
Right.
and so it was a real struggle for the both of us to kind of be on the same page. And yeah, I just think we need to have more support for both sides so that
Yes.
it can be an
Absolutely.
easier process to go through. You
And
know what I
Absolutely.
like,
mean?
yeah, go ahead.
I was talking with Kent, like I remember when I started your book, I started reading it, we were driving from Vancouver Island, so we had a like 10-hour drive. And I was reading the book out loud to him, and he had said to me, hopefully he's okay with you sharing this,
Yeah.
that guys are almost, he wants to say, worse than women regarding body image, the way that they deal with their
Mm-hmm.
emotions, the way that they don't talk about things. And it, now that he's been doing a lot of work, it's just like, where are they groups for men? How do we make it okay for guys to realize they don't have to bottle everything up, and they don't have to
Yeah.
hide it all, that it's okay to talk about it, it's okay to talk about body image, like all of those things, whether someone's
Mm-hmm.
too skinny, or they don't have the muscle mass, or they're so ripped, or like the same thing happens with men.
Totally. For sure. This isn't a woman issue. This is a girl and guy, men and women, even in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. Like, you don't just poof, get over it sometimes. And once you hit 60 or 70, like, it just transfers into a different issue. But we all still struggle with
Yeah,
it, right?
exactly.
Marissa says, "What's the best or most comforting thing to say to a friend who has recently had a miscarriage?" And I know you talk about this in your book,
Yes.
Cheryl. You were really candid about how some people said certain things or didn't say certain things and how that affected you. So could you kind of touch on that for us?
I think that it's not about having the right words. And I know people that are coming in contact with people that have had a loss, they want to say something to make you feel better. Nothing will make us feel better. Nothing. And that's just, let's just be real here, that nothing you can possibly say or do will make it better. But just hugging me and feeling like you're holding space for me, you don't need to say anything. Like you say, oh, I've had a miscarriage, I lost the baby. You hug someone and you say, I'm here for you. And you're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And that's all you got to say. There's no other, nothing, the perfect phrase will ever fix it. You just got to love
Yeah,
on them, love people, and empathize with them and shoulder some of that burden by hugging on them and loving them.
totally. I would have a lot of people say to me to try, and it was always coming from a really great place
Oh, it always
and
is,
from
for
love.
sure.
Yeah, and I totally knew that, but they would say things like, well, 1 in 4 people have a miscarriage. So you're not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think to myself, like, that one really would like get to me. And like I said, I know that that was coming from a really good place,
Mm-hmm.
but it almost diminished it. Like, it almost felt like they were minimizing what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, for people who don't go through it, I don't think you don't really understand what it's like until you actually go through it. And then everyone else is able to, like, it's something that happened, and then people could just go on with their day. I was in a place where I didn't understand how, like, this life altering thing happened to me, and then everybody else could just, like, everyone else was fine to go on with their day, but for me it wasn't like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like it's really important to have these conversations and to share with people who have gone through it, because you really do feel alone
Yeah.
when stuff like that happens.
I think it's so important too, like what you said, just give somebody a hug. Like, I think that
Yeah.
is the most powerful thing you can do. I also think if you've gone through something like that, don't be shy about it,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you've had one as well and you just found out that your friend had a miscarriage, like, oh my gosh, give them a hug and say, I get it. It's happened to me.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the first time I heard that a friend of mine had had a miscarriage, I was like, you mean other people have gone through this? Because in the moment that you find out it's happened, you feel completely alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're the only
Yeah.
one. So knowing and being open about it, I know I have talked with other girls that have found out that they've had a miscarriage, and I'm like, you know what? I have as well. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can see that look, and it's just like I wish someone would have told me that they had as well. I don't wish it on
Yeah.
anyone, but I just, if someone that had it been like, I get what you're going through.
Totally. And there's so much that there's a big gap right now on the front lines of when you go through a miscarriage or even in just infertility in general. But
Yeah.
speaking on miscarriage, like that front line when you get sent home from the hospital with a few pieces of paper and some numbers to call if you're mentally not okay. But like, to me, that's just not okay right now because you're going home totally engulfed in grief and confusion. And then you're dealing with all the physical stuff and you have so many questions. Is that too much blood? What just happened there? Is that the baby? Did I just pass it? And you're like, is that just a clot? And you have all of these questions and really know where to go with that. And I think, yeah, just opening up that conversation with women, like now that I've been open about it, women are coming to me about their miscarriages and I say, okay, this is going to happen probably in the next week. This, you're probably going to face this or this decision or, and it's just able to like share stories and know that you're not alone and help you through this difficult week that you're, like you said, Paulette, you're going on, people are going on with your life. You're going to the grocery store with a pad that's soaked in blood, right? And that's
Yeah.
reality. And you're bleeding through your clothes and you're trying to take your
Yeah.
kid to daycare and you're just pulling yourself together, right? Like we need to be able to like have this group of people that can support you in that time, give you meals
Totally.
and take your kid when you can't drive and can't shovel the snow because you're cramping too much, right? Like, there's a lot that people don't realize what's going on in those first couple weeks. And it's not just grief,
Totally.
it's physical, right?
It's painful. It's
Even
physical.
like
Yeah.
Exactly. It's physical. Everything. It's painful in so many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like you
And
were saying, even at the hospital, like at that point when you're told, like I remember when we were told, um, we were in shock. Like
mhm,
I just sat there in the room in shock, and the doctor who we had did not have the best bedside manner, and he just said it like it was something that just happens. Like it was just
mhm,
like, so this is what's gonna happen. These are your options. You can have a DNC. You could just let it pass by itself or
mhm,
whatever. So do you understand? Okay, great, Kate. You're free to go now.
yeah.
And I was just sitting there like totally in shock. And I thought like I had no words and I was devastated, but it's like I just went frozen.
Yeah.
He and then it hits you, and then he like they just wanted us to leave, like
Yeah.
to go, and we had to go through the, well, Blaise knows how the Bonneville Medical Clinic works. You have to walk through the whole room full of people waiting to see the doctor, and I just kept thinking like, oh my god, I could hardly even walk. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, it was so, yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
needs to
what.
be better.
Oh, for sure. Like, I think my second time that I thought that I was miscarrying, I was at this major ultrasound place in Edmonton, and it's just like huge baby bumps, pregnant women, and I walk out of there like completely red faced and in tears, and it's like almost like you feel like a walk of shame, right? Because it's just all
Yeah,
these women that are happily pregnant, and you're walking out of there with your whole life altered, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just there just needs to be more of an empathy running through the healthcare professionals and through your community and through your family. Is just educating people that this is
Mm-hmm.
happening and it's more severe than what you think, because it's not just 1 in 4. It's it's just like this life altering devastation, and you don't know how to navigate all through that, and then your husband can't really help you because he's feeling the exact same kind of grief, right? So like we need outsources to help us.
Yeah.
right. Well,
But I
Yeah.
I'm
think
so glad that you've started the conversation, and
thank you.
I'm so proud of you for doing that.
That takes
It's
courage.
Sorry for crying, guys.
it
Oh,
does, like I've put my story out there, but like it's healing for me too. This is not just a physical or emotional healing, it's a mental health thing too, and it's needs to be combined, right? So I got to be allowed to help heal myself.
yeah.
That's for Mickey's comment.
Uh, Mickey said, "Can you please say the title of the book again?" It's called Heroin,
Yes.
and again, you can get it where?
You can get it
On
on
Amazon.com.
Amazon.ca and .com, so wherever you are. And locally, it's in Bonnyville at Herbology, at Pharmasave, and at Buds and Blooms. And in Cold Lake, it's at the Nourish Soul Wellness Center.
Awesome.
Yay!
It's amazing.
Okay, well, I feel like we could stay here forever,
I know,
honestly. There's
right?
so many things to talk about. And who knows? Maybe you'll come back on and share some more wonderful goodness with us later on.
I
Yes,
will,
yes,
but we
yes.
do want to do a giveaway, right?
I was just gonna say.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah!
We want to do a giveaway.
Giveaway!
Cheryl is going to give away a copy of her book to one of our lucky viewers.
Yeah.
So, all of you who have stayed on this far, congratulations. You are in the running. There are
Yeah!
22, there are 21 of you watching right now. So,
Awesome.
how are we going to do this, ladies? Bex, you take the lead on this one.
Oh
What are we
my
going to do?
word. Okay.
No pressure.
I buckle under pressure. All
Okay,
right.
so maybe
I'm gonna
okay, so I have an idea. Can I share my idea?
Sure.
oh,
Okay. So, in the beginning, we asked a question
Mm-hmm.
to the wonderful Cheryl, and we asked her what inspired her to write this book. So, I feel like whoever answers the question correctly
Yes.
in the comments, we will, what will we do?
Well, if you
Put
get
names in a
multiple,
draw?
put names in a draw. We'll pick the draw and we'll contact you. You get the book.
Perfect.
Or drop them right now and I'll
So,
write them down if you.
Is anyone commenting now?
I have a copy,
I
someone
don't
says.
know. Let me check the comments here.
They can listen back, right?
Um,
They can listen back to this.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do the
Yeah, you
giveaway on
guys
the
can
live.
It's up to you. How much time do you have? It's probably past our time, but I'm up for anything.
You know
We're
what?
getting a couple answers here coming in.
Derek and Crystal Deshane said her daughter. Tina Rondo says because she couldn't find resources for herself. Connie Drake said the same thing. No resources available. Leanne says her daughter. Amanda said unable to find resources after her own losses. Mickey says her daughter. Tina says as a way to help to heal. So we got lots of answers going on here.
Awesome.
Amanda says her daughter. Ooh, this is fun.
Yay! Are you writing them down, Bex?
I'm gonna write these down. Let me go back here.
Okay.
Oh, Carly says she wanted to educate and support other women that didn't have support. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna give it one more minute. How about?
Okay. Awesome.
And in the meantime, Cheryl's gonna dance. No, I'm just kidding.
Should we tell the story that we went to Bon Jovi together so long ago?
Oh my God! Yes, totally. Okay, so this is how Cheryl and I know each other. I used to work at Marlin Travel, and is that how we met? That's how we met, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Were somebody was doing some? You were booking a trip with Rob, and you guys worked upstairs at the radio station.
Yes.
And we became fast friends. You would come and visit me at the office. It was awesome.
Yes.
And then Rob Hunter, who is the most amazing, well, he's the second most amazing husband in the world. I have to say that because
for
sure.
sure.
The best. Cheryl and I share a love for John Bon Jovi. And Rob came to me and asked, I don't know how we got on the topic, something about tickets to go to Bon Jovi. So we ended up, I think he had bought them already, or he was looking into it and asked, because he knew how much I love Bon Jovi, and asked if we wanted to come. So my friend Denise and I, we got to go to Bon Jovi with Cheryl and Rob, and it was the funnest thing in the world. You know what? I'm going to try to find a picture, and I'm going to post it in the comments of this thing.
Because the backstory of that was the I didn't know you were coming. That was a surprise.
Oh yeah,
that was for my birthday, and you somehow
so fun.
He bought the tickets first, and you bought tickets next, and we ended up getting all 4 seats together, 4th row on the floor. Let's not forget to mention that.
4th row on the floor, ladies and gentlemen. I know, and I don't think. Well, some people know about my love of Bon Jovi, but
we had
some
shirts.
people, if you're not aware,
we had shirts. We did have shirts.
Yeah. I think my shirt said something like "Screw the bitch next to me, I love you, John." I'm gonna find the picture. I'm honestly gonna find the picture and share it.
And Rob's shirt said, "I'm with these crazies."
Yeah, and there was arrows like this.
Oh, that was a good time.
Okay, you ladies. Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to just go back and count how many entries there were, and I'll see if I have everyone? Can you do that?
Okay. You want me to do that?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because I am cutting these up.
I think there's still some pouring in though. I feel like
Oh,
maybe we should leave it. How about let's do this? How about let's leave it for the next let's leave until 10 p.m.
Okay.
our
okay.
time, Mountain Standard Time,
Okay.
and that'll be the cutoff date
Okay.
to get in the draw for the
For a
giveaway.
free
And
book. And
then
it's signed. I will sign it and mail it to wherever you are, hand it
ooh.
off.
That's amazing.
And I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys, Cheryl's a big deal. And she's going to write more books
Thank you.
and it's going to be magical. So a signed copy of this incredible book is going to be priceless in the future. So again, for any of you looking for it online, this is it right here, Heroine.
Embrace your flaws.
It really,
Own your awesome.
dude, I loved it so much.
Thank you so much for
And
reading it.
it was magical. And I'm so, 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 so incredibly proud of you. And I'm so grateful that you were able to come with us on our live because there is so much information to share with people. And I just feel like we could sit here for hours
Totally.
and drink wine and talk about stuff
And green tea.
and green tea. So we will have you back. I
Okay.
guarantee it.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it so much. You guys are amazing. And I love what you're doing as well.
Oh, I love you, buddy.
I love you
Okay,
too.
guys, thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining in with us tonight. We will keep you posted as to who wins the draw. We have lost Bex, so unfortunately, we're going to miss out on all her final song goodness. But thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And we see you on the next one.